Yes, I'm ready. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, count down to 10 and then start, please.
Okay, I'm going. Good morning, class. I welcome you to our lesson for the week, which is we are ending on a Friday. So I hope that by the end of the lesson, you will be able to go back to your own lessons that we've done, your own notes. I meant to say that, sorry. So today we are still continuing with paper 3, but just something to think about. As you all know, when we start our teaching and learning, I start by asking the questions of what did you find to be very most helpful? Is there anything that we can do differently? And how can we improve our teaching and learning? And perhaps just as a nice way of starting our lesson today, it's a pity that we can't get the audio of Sierra Leveling Up song. It's that basically with this, I want to give you the oomph and the energy for Friday to keep your Friday leveling up. And then as we start, we count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we are leveling up to end up our week. So the learning outcomes as of yesterday, just as a matter of a reminder, it's that by the end of the lesson, I wanted you to understand different aspects of writing and presenting. I wanted you to get the skill and the versatility of being able to write, to present your work. It could be in written text, it could be in visual text, or it could be in any multimedia text for a variety of purposes. I also wanted you to learn the way of communicating your thoughts and ideas coherently through writing and presenting, and also frequent writing exercise practices improve your level of creativity and your level of writing. The writing and presenting, again, language is very important. Language in the context of language structures, which should be taught for constructing text in their context of use. The application of language structure is not restricted to the analysis of isolated sentences, but rather it explains the way in which sentences are structured to construct whole texts such as stories, essays, letters, and reports, which learners learn to read and write in school. Keep that in mind. So, language is the tool that enables us to be able to do the reading, and the ability to write. Now, we need to find a way where we integrate the reading, the writing, and for it to make sense. So the above skills that I've highlighted in all the previous lessons that we have done, but mostly writing and presenting, it should be integrated. So you must know and learn the ability to integrate your writing and presenting. In integration, the skills of focus on one skill can lead to practice in the other. So if you master the art of reading, if you master the art of writing, and these things can be well refined over time. So writing and presenting, again, I reminded you that there are 3 elements that are important when you thinking about writing and presenting, which is using the writing process, learning and applying knowledge of the structures and features of different types, learning and applying knowledge of paragraph and sentence structure, and punctuations. So these are the three things that you need to keep in mind for when you are thinking about writing and presenting. A writing instruction usually involves producing a text through the writing process. Keep that in mind. However, not every step of the process will be fully acquired on every occasion. For an example, as my learners, you are writing a familiar text type, you will not need to analyze its structure and language features in so much detail. So this is just a matter of a catch up of what we did yesterday. Then the actual writing process. This is what is needed for this process to unfold. One, you decide on the purpose and audience of a text to be written and or designed, which means that for every form of writing and designing, but most the writing, you need to understand who am I writing for, what is the purpose of my writing, and who am I targeting that I want to communicate whatever that I want to communicate. You brainstorm ideas using, for example, mind maps, flow charts, or lists. You organize your ideas, you read your draft critically and edit, but we'll talk further about this. Now let's move on to the actual thing that we covered. If we remember yesterday, we covered or touched on essays, right? We explained that an essay is an extended piece of writing in which a writer, you express your opinions, your thoughts about that given topic. And then there's a recipe that we spoke about that is your introduction, that is your body, and that is your conclusion, right? So those are the things that you need to consider. So planning your essay. This is a skill that I want to remind you about. The brainstorming process. That is, number one, the introduction is the most important part. It should not exceed 5 short sentences. Avoid things such as like in this essay, I will or I'm going to, because it really does not add any value into your essay. Remember that the grounding of everything that you do becomes your topic. Your topic is the essence of the foundation that builds the introduction, that builds the body, and that builds the conclusion. But the topic it's one thing that you underline the keywords to ensure you do not go off the point. You ask questions, who, when, where, and how. Plan using a mind map. The conclusion, remember here, you don't start a new subject. You don't bring something. You expand on the thoughts that you had and bring them together. So, as I said, you don't bring something new. While all you do, it is to integrate and leave the reader with a thought-provoking message in the end. So again, we spoke about the 3 main ideas. That is idea number 1. Each paragraph should have a main idea with supporting details that develop the main idea. What this means is that, remember, there is nothing that you would say that has never been said before. So you need to understand that whatever opinion or thought that you have is backed by evidence. Evidence, it could be what is in the newspaper, it could be what is on TV, it is what is on the news. So what it means, the supporting idea should be supported It means that you would say according to this person or according to the internet and all of that. So, which also speaks to what we call referencing. In an essay, you start the process of referencing, knowing very well that your ideas are not the only absolute idea. When you get to varsity, you'll get to realize, even now at high school, there's something that we call plagiarism, that is stealing people's ideas without acknowledging them, meaning that without referencing them. So this is important as you write your paragraphs, remembering that every paragraph you are introducing something that you want the reader to take out as a message in the end. Paragraph, so I mean idea 2, your paragraphs should be varied in length. There should be a logical sequence of ideas or events. These are just not paragraphs that are just put in there. These are paragraphs that have to do with logic, with sequence of how things navigate and how things work together. So your idea, the paragraph 1 should lead to the flow of paragraph 2, and paragraph 2 should lead to the flow of paragraph 3. All right? Avoid sentences that are too long. That's idea number 3. They should be well constructed and varied. Keep those things in mind. Now, we spoke of different types of narratives. That is, number one thing to remember that a narrative, an essay, it tells a story or tells of past events. It does not have to be true or based on your life story. It can be any form of written perspective. So those are the basic key tenets of narrative essay. This is just a summary, remember, just to refresh your mind. We spoke about a descriptive essay defined as where here you, as an example, a learner describes a person, memory, situation, place, experience, or any object. In contrast to other types of essay, this descriptive essay allows the writer to use many figures of speech and descriptors like adjectives and adverbs, thus enabling you to create a powerful image of what is being described. You as a writer or the presenter, you write to present the text in a manner that leads the reader into the writer's perspective of the subject that you are trying to describe or write about. So descriptive essay has something to do that's catchy, that you don't necessarily use direct language, you use metaphor, you take the reader through images and some things that are quite interesting. Then there's what we call a reflective essay, which is we spoke about the analytical process that involves the descriptions and reflections. For 2 minutes, I'm going to give you a chance to ask questions before we can move forward. All right, I see there no question. So this is one of my favorite essays, right? An argumentative essay. The writer has a specific opinion or viewpoint and argues to defend or motivate his or her position. The opinion of the writer should be clear throughout, right? There must be a thread that it means. This is a subjective essay in which the writer tries to convince the reader to share his or her point of view. Keep that in mind. This is about your point of view. The reason why I'm saying this is it's my favorite, is that it allows you the chance to to show your creativity, to show your ability to believe in your argument, right? And this is something that is very also useful when you are probably doing a debate or you are doing a debate challenge with other schools or with your peers and that. For you to be able to craft, it means for you to be able to do a solid argument, you need an ability of developing your opinion. And this is something, again, that will help you as you navigate and move towards your academic career, especially for those ones who may necessarily want to be in courses such as law, who want to be advocates, who want to be attorneys, who want to be judges, those ones who want to be political scientists, those who want to be into international relations and all of those things. So those careers require a very strong ability of developing your own opinion or your viewpoint where you defend or motivate. So you can only be able to do this when you know your stuff, when you know exactly that which you are talking about, right? So this means in summary is you want to get your point across. Your point across with no level of emotionality. What do I mean by that? You don't argue or put across your opinion using emotions, but you apply your critical mind into looking at the subject, right? For instance, if you were to be given an argumentative essay, in fact, let this be your exercise over the weekend. I want you to write a minimum of about 300 words to argue the president's statement on the upliftment of selling cigarettes. Let me write it down. Now, I want you to be able to engage with this question. Let me do this, let me ensure, and then I'm going to leave this question here. New slide. Homework. See. So the question is, comment on the president's decision to uplift I use this word substantiate your argument deliberately. So substantiate could be motivate or provide reasons, right, for your argument. Is the right move? So this is the question I'm going to leave you with as a matter of an exercise. You can start thinking about it now. And argumentative. So the question is, start with the statement. Comment on the president's decision to uplift the selling of cigarettes. Is this the right movement? Is it the right move? So I want you to substantiate. Substantiate means you can motivate or provide reasons for your argument. That is 20 marks, right? And 20 marks. The length should be max 200 words. This is just a matter of your exercise. And then you can submit that on my email address and I'll have a look at it. So this is just one exercise again that will help you to think differently about how you put across your argument. Share. Let's share. Slideshow. So here's the exercise. It's an argumentative essay. It is a homework. You must comment on the president's decision to uplift the selling of cigarettes. Is this the right move? You must substantiate, that is, you can motivate or provide reason for your argument, 20 marks. And the length is a maximum of 200 words. So which then pushes you to have a very strong argument. So yeah, this is the exercise for you, to stretch your minds and to show how smart you are, because I know you are all smart. So we are continuing. So what I've given you the brief of exactly that which you do. So how do you do this? Probably that's the question that you're all asking as to the how part of this. Let's show why is it not moving. So when planning an argumentative essay here's what I think, argumentative and discursive writing. So this is all about building an argument, and building an argument involves a lot of things. So number one, evidence to back up my reasons. So you need, as I said, that you need to build your argument on the basis of what you have read from other scholars. That is, other scholars, it could be people who have written extensively in the field or in the subject. And I'm using these words deliberately because I'm stretching your mind so that you can expand on your vocabulary, because when you get to grade 12 and move to university post that, you will get to learn what is called academic language. You need to start learning that academic language now, so that you get to acquaint yourself to realize that there is no idea that you'll ever come out that is exclusive. We've got scientists, the Einsteins, the Freuds, and other theorists who lived and wrote and left their ideas with us. We are building from those ideas, and those are some of the arguments and evidence that we all build up from. So you have an idea, you've got an argument. What is that argument? And then you back it up with the reasons of what is already existing. So this is very important, that you can't just make an argument out of your own um, what is this what I'm looking for? Your unjustifiable arguments. So your arguments need to be justifiable, and by virtue of it being an argument, it needs a lot of thinking and evidence to make it something that is very appealing and that would convince one. Have an imagination of an attorney or an advocate that's working on a case. The point it is to convince the judge to take a particular decision, and that decision will never be taken with no substantiative information that is based on evidence. It could be anything that supports your data or whatever that needs to happen. Then now we also have what we call a discursive essay. A discursive essay is objective and aims to give a balanced view of both sides of an argument. Right? The writer considers various aspects of the topic and a discussion and presents opposing views impartially. The writer may come to a particular conclusion at the end of the essay, but the arguments for and against must be well balanced and clearly analyzed in the course of the essay. This is also one of my favorites because every argument has two poles. There's no argument that supersedes the other sometimes, but this kind of essay, it helps you to stretch your mind beyond your limited argument, because some people can get married to their arguments with no substantiative reasons. So what this then gives you is that you have a well-balanced view of using the very same example that I gave you about the president's lifting. There are two sides. There are those ones who can say, yes, it is needed because there are people who are addicted to cigarettes, there are people who are dependent on it, so it could pose certain implications. There are those ones who could say, no, it's not the right one because we are working with a disease that is respiratory, that affects lungs and all of that. And if we're lifting cigarettes, we are imposing people to a number of potential chances that they can be infected. So you can look at it in that way. And again, I want you to go back to that slide of the exercise as a homework and see how you can apply this. Work with the first essay that I highlighted, that is the argumentative essay, and then also do the discursive essay as well. So, sorry, apply those two, the argumentative aspect of it in the very same question, and also apply the very same question in doing a discursive essay. So in a discursive essay, this is what you consider. The writer should understand and be able to reflect both sides of the argument in an impartial and well-informed way. Impartial, can go and read what that means, and it has to be well-informed. So both sides must be balanced. Your arguments must be clear and well articulated from both ends. The writing must be very lucid, rational, and objective. And then lucid, in the context of writing, it must be clear, it must be succinct, it must be rational, there must be a flow, there must be reason and rationality that is well thought. Calm, well reasoned, and well-supported statements should be made. Remember, this is not an emotive essay where you reflect about your emotion. You put on facts here. It's about an argument, right? There's a level of reasonability. You don't put this is I feel. It's about a matter of evidence suggests, according to research. So this has to have both balanced things in the end. And so this is an example of an introductory paragraph of a discursive essay. Technology has improved our lives. Those ones who can say yes, there are those ones who can say no. But this is kind of neutral that you can have both perspectives. So some people believe that technology is bad, whilst others believe that it is fantastic. However, everyone must agree that it is now difficult to imagine the world without it. Technology cannot be blamed for what goes wrong in the world. We should rather blame the people who use it badly. Where we are now in terms of the lockdown and in the way that we are doing teaching, we can see how fantastic it is to engage with technology as a means of teaching. We wouldn't be able to do this that we are doing, you sitting at home on Microsoft Teams, on Zoom, and other spaces that we use for teaching if it wasn't for technology. But there's also the other argument that could be, yes, it's a good program, it's a good thing that we are doing online teaching and all of that. However, there are learners in rural areas, there are learners who are in informal settlements who may not have the privilege of engaging with the same level of technology. The other argument could be, yes, we can go or we can expose learners from rural areas and informal settler areas that may not have access to internet, computers, and all of that. The argument then around that we're speaking about of the impact of class differences, that some of them may not even know how to use a device, right? And accessibility for that. So there are many variants of what you can look at, showing the positive side and evidence of it, that it has really improved our lives. It has really improved our teaching and learning in the way that we are engaging with you. However, there are also other aspects that may not necessarily be beneficial. So you can see how both for an argumentative essay as well as the kind of essay that I've described of how these work. Now we also have an expository essay, right? An expository essay, writing communicates ideas or information in a logical way. This is a factual essay in which the writer explains ideas or gives facts in a systematic way. An expository essay is well researched and ideas are supported by facts and figures. I cannot stress more the value of all your arguments and ideas supported by facts and figures. This is about writing. When you get to university, there's something that you learn that is called a thesis. A thesis is an Italian word that basically means making an argument. So you can never make an argument with no substantiative sources or substance. What's going on? Sorry about that. So consider the following when writing this type of essay. A thorough understanding of the topic is required. Good research is vital as statements have to be supported by facts. As the reader may not have a specialized understanding of the topic, you as the writer, you should clarify any concepts which may be unfamiliar to the reader or to your target population. So this must be very clearly articulated written in a very simple way so that your readers get the point. Ideas must be organized logically and take the reader from the known to the unknown. Here you become more like a teacher about a subject. So I cannot teach this subject, I cannot teach you about these types of essays if I didn't have an understanding of what this essay means and giving you examples. So I try as much as I can to simplify it so that as a learner, you are able to receive it and have a better understanding of what this is all about. So while the various essay types seem independent of one another, a learner's response may be a combination of different types of essay. Again, this also shows the versatility of thinking, the versatility of sharing ideas, moving between different kinds and different types of essay. So it does not necessarily mean that you need to be narrow-minded in the way of how you write your essays. Yes, if you are asked to do an expository, an argumentative, a narrative essay, it could be a key thing, right? Yes, we know that you are expected to give that answer, but you need to show your creativity of you're borrowing from narrative, you're borrowing from expository, you're borrowing from argumentative, you're borrowing from these different kinds of things, but you stick to what you are given, but the tools, the skill of how you use these things is very critical and important to improve the quality of your writing. So keep those things in mind. So today we have ended off using an expository essay. We have covered an argumentative essay. We have covered these different kinds of essays, which is very important for you to be able to have the skill of communicating your ideas, of how to get your point across. You want others to get your idea. An argumentative essay does the same. It tries to convince the reader in any form of written text, in any form of text that you are writing. There is a target population, there's an argument that you're trying to make, and that argument has to come across quite nicely. It must flow, it must be appealing, it must be exciting to the reader to capture the reader's attention. So for those ones who may be very interested in literature, this is a good start. For those ones who may be interested in law, and this is a good thing. For those ones who want to be psychologists, who want to be business people, you need the skill even creating your business proposal, because you're creating an argument, you're creating something that you want your potential investor or your potential company to get your product, to get what you are trying to sell. So argumentative soft skills are very important for every career, even though there are those careers this is much needed in terms of writing. So there may be those ones again who may be interested in being public relations officers as a PR. There's a strong element of writing that is needed there in how you write your letters and how you write your opinion pieces. Those things are necessary skills for every career. So keep that in mind. So as a matter of ending today, I want to leave you with something to think about. Remember to apply and use this as a homework. Where is this? Sorry about that. Open a different slide. So I want to end this lesson today with our Friday ending, which is something that I want to encourage each and every learner to keep this thing in mind. The fact that we are under lockdown does not mean that we don't have a future that is ahead. We will hear what happens when our Minister of Basic Education tells us what's the way forward. But I want to leave you with this, that never allow your current situation to determine your future. What do I mean by that? For some of us, we may be living in dire situations, in situations that give us no hope, in situations where we think there is no other possibility. You know, there are learners who are from the deep, deep rural areas that at the end of the year, we see they are the top students, they go to the top universities. You know why the trick is? They knew that they've got the internal capacity to make it under any circumstances. So your background, you could be living in the most destitute places, you could be in rural areas, it could be in every place where we think that no hope would ever come. But I want to leave you with the message that says, don't let circumstances of your background determine your goals, dreams, and aspirations. And that lastly, you can be the best version of yourself despite your current circumstances. So keep that in mind that yes, physically we may be locked down, but psychologically and deep down we can unlock our potential to see ourselves beyond our current circumstances, despite our home situation, despite our home circumstances. Some of you are finding it hard to study because you may be living in situations where we are quite a lot at home. There's no time for privacy and all of that. But in those situations, just remember that the least you can do it is to find creative ways of studying, but take away this to say as my take home message as we are ending Friday and looking forward to the weekend and going back to our real life after lockdown. Don't let circumstances of your background determine your goals, and never allow any situation to determine your future. I wish you all the best until we meet again. Cheers, guys.